Sex talk, Erica Miley, 'cause sexuality is tough. And okay, sex just isn't good enough, no. Sex talk with Erica Miley.
Hey folks, welcome to Sex Talk with Erica Miley. Erica Miley here. Today, I wanted to, I just realized, I was like, I wonder how many people actually know what sex therapy is or what a sex therapist does. So I thought, hey, let's tackle that. I really want to kind of give you guys a bird's eye view of what I do every day, but also give you a sense of what does it mean to go to therapy at all? Because first and foremost, I'm a trained psychotherapist. That is my primary job. I see people with lots and lots of different issues. Sex therapy is my specialty. So essentially, that's what I've gotten extra training in to be good at. So to start from there, essentially what sex therapy means is to bring a sexual problem into an open but safe place of therapy, and then taking that problem and beginning to deal with it. I know that sounds really simple, but it really isn't. It is really, really tough for most people, one, to go to therapy at all, and two, then on top of that, let's add our cultural issues around shame or people's family cultural issues around shame and sex. And it is yet another hurdle for people to cross to try to get help. I get DMs on Instagram all the time. I get private messages on Facebook all the time. I get emails all the time from people saying, is this a problem? And fundamentally, the answer is only if you think it is. I mean, it doesn't mean to say that there aren't things that are legitimate problems, but essentially when we think about therapy generally, we think about a problem from the lens of, does this impact your day-to-day life? Do you suffer in different parts of your life? So at work, with your partner, with your friends, at home, do you face this issue a lot? And is it overwhelming you? Is it taking over your life? So if you have a problem and it's something that you want to address, no matter how small you may believe it is, more than likely, therapy is a great place to tackle it. Because guess what? The best part about therapy is you get to talk about yourself and your issues for 50 minutes or longer. And you get a unbiased outside, not unbiased, biased, but unbiased from, no, they're not your friend, they're not your family member. They are an outside perspective of your issue, whatever that issue looks like. So it's kind of like the big bird's eye view of what sex therapy is. Here's the other cool thing about sex therapy. It's typically super successful. It could be even as much as, there's some rates that, obviously it does depend on what research you look at, but the numbers are as high as 93% of those who go to sex therapy report improved sex life afterwards. 93%. That's pretty damn good if you ask me. Most problems that people face sexually can be addressed. And typically the way we address them is with education, teaching about communication, and completing different kinds of tasks or homework that we ask our clients to do to try to get to the sexual life that they are wanting to have, and coming to terms with this whole sexual self that all of us have within us. I want to say, when I say everyone has a sexual self, even if that sexual self is asexual, just because you may not be sexually aroused does not mean that you do not have asexual self. Just the idea of being able to come to terms with it if you are an asexual person. That on its own can be that you can come to terms with that with the help of a qualified sex therapist. So we can go down that bunny trail forever, but I really want to tackle what it means. What is it like for a day to day? I'm going to give you a rundown of what I do every single day. So my entire practice is online. So that is kind of cool. And it is unique in the therapy world. There are people who prefer to see kind of traditional therapists where you go into an office and you sit with them on their couch and in the therapist's most comfortable space, and you get down to work that way. My office is entirely online, so you can be in your most comfortable place, not mine. Oftentimes with my folks who see me, we get down to work very quickly because of that. Because the person hasn't had to spend all of their time in a car, going back and forth, trying to find a parking spot, maybe paying for parking, and doing all of those things, that stress just is not there. So like one of my favorite things for my clients is that, especially like the morning sessions, it's so fantastic because they are making their coffee for the morning. They're getting ready for work and we are having an intense discussion, but it is fantastic for your ability to be able to reach the scariest stuff being in your most comfortable place. Yeah, I could beat this dead horse, but I think you all get it. Most of my day, I sit with my folks, and it's all on a HIPAA compliant video platform. And by HIPAA compliant means that it's completely keeps everything and all of my documents safe and protected, just like you going into a clinic or a doctor's office. So I start my day with my clients, and I see folks with issues ranging from fear of being rejected by partners to dealing with learning about their sexual identity for the first time, to maybe someone dealing with some performance anxiety like erectile dysfunction and here's the deal, folks, many people, not just men, deal with, in quotation marks, erectile dysfunction. Many of us can deal with performance anxiety, and typically, most of the time, those issues are psychologically related. It doesn't mean that bodies can't have issues. It just means that there's a lot of times it has to do with something that's happening with your mind, with your emotions, or things that you haven't tackled yet, maybe even from your past. Often we don't acknowledge our sexual difficulties, period. We internalize them. We hide them away. Essentially, what I do every day is I help people externalize them. Take a step back and ask, what can be done to make things better? On a typical day, I could see anywhere from 4 to 7 people, and they range in age from their late teen years until I think the oldest client I've ever seen is in their 80s. So this problem, the problem of our issues culturally and internally around sex, is across the lifespan. It is not just one person. So, for instance, any of the issues I'm going to describe are people I've seen before, but I won't divulge any identifiable information. That's part of therapy as well, is we keep your information protected. Everything you say in session is secret. We don't talk about it with other people unless you sign a form that says that we can. As a sex therapist, I do often do what's called a release of information with people's medical doctors or their gynecologists, or say they're being treated for some sort of chronic illness. I will often do a release with that person's medical doctor so that we can get a whole picture of what's happening here. Because oftentimes in sex therapy, we are looking not only at the psychological, but we are looking at the physiological. We are looking at the pieces of your body that may be contributing to why this issue might arise. For instance, I often will have female-bodied clients who are on birth control and have been on birth control for a really long time. So it's worth investigating to be sure that that birth control is not impeding that female-bodied person and their sexual life. We could get into the weeds here about all of the different issues that I see, but here's the reality. I see people with various sexual difficulties. I also see people with mental health difficulties. So sometimes I will get the call from someone who will say, well, I know this isn't a sexual problem, but I think I want to see you anyway. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I am a psychotherapist first. I see any mental health issue. I mean, there's some mental health issues that I'm way better at dealing with than others, but I make sure that I talk to people and determine if I'm the best fit for them and their issue. But I see people with depression, anxiety, mood issues. I see people who have serious obsessive compulsive disorder issues. I see lots of people from lots of different areas of psychotherapy. Now, here's the reality of my cross training of sex therapy is that I also consider how your sex life is impacted by these things. Many of us out here are not talking about how our depression is impacting our sex life or how our depression is impacting how we see our bodies. And I work with people on that as well. So I want to kind of give you this whole large umbrella. You're getting the whole bowl of salad today. All of the things that I do from a day-to-day basis. It really comes down to what is going on for you, what is really, really holding you back from the life you were meant for. And oftentimes it has to do with, I can't tell you how many times I am working with people on their shame around sex or around themselves or around their bodies. And I personally think everyone should go to therapy. I'm a little biased when it comes to that, but there are so many issues that we as therapists can help you with. It is not always easy to ask for help. So all of that being said, I want to make sure that if you are looking for someone to find someone for therapy, I'm happy to be that person if you live in the state of Florida or in Washington State. That is where I am able to practice. But I also have other therapists that I have hired for I have a group practice and it is also all online. And I'm going to have them both here on the show and we're going to do an episode, all three of us together so that all of you can meet them. I really want to provide services to as many people as I can and to help as many people as I can possibly help. So if you're looking for a therapist or don't know how to start the process, feel free to contact me. I will at the very least point you in the direction and try to get you a referral for someone in your area if that is not me. And there's also, let's see here, this is episode number 66, which I can't even believe, and I'm so happy that that is the case. I have 65 more episodes for you to go check out and get some more information on sex, sexuality, and learning how your mental health can absolutely impact your sex life. Please feel free to check out any of those episodes. I also have a Patreon. So there's even extra stuff in my Patreon for folks. Please jump on there. I would love to have you. I just dropped in my Patreon an unboxing of a toy that a company asked me to review for them. And so that went to my Patreon folks. They are the only ones that get to see that. I'm also going to be doing a review for them in just the Patreon. I'm going to be doing a video review. So please jump in there. Sex Talk with Erica Miley on patreon.com. And I would love to be able to provide you even more content. So, a recap of where we've been today, because I feel like this episode's kind of all over the place, but it is what it is. Sex therapy, what it is essentially taking that sex issue, sexuality, whatever that sexual problem is and bringing out of the darkness into the light and externalizing it for you so that you can really have the best sex life and really see improvement in your life overall. If you do need help, if you do need to reach out, feel free to do so. I have a network of therapists I work with myself that I can at least point you in some sort of direction to find help. Thank you all for sticking around to the end this week. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com, Sex Talk with Erica Miley. I've been doing some blogging, so check out ericamiley.com and also the Center for Mental and Sexual Health.com. New blogs are going up there all the time as well, not only just from myself, but the therapists who work in my group practice. They are fantastic and super knowledgeable people, so there's tons of information there for you as well. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening, folks. Please rate and review on iTunes. That helps this podcast get found. If you leave a 5-star review, let me know about it on any social media, and I'll shout you out on the podcast. You can find my website at ericamiley.com. You can find me on Facebook, the Gram, and Twitter. See y'all next time.